Practical linear systems are solved on a machine, and a machine does not hold the real numbers. It holds a finite set of them, of this shape. Each number carries a fixed count of digits, a base, and an exponent. The count of digits, written t, is called the precision, and it does not change during a calculation. Every real number that arises is replaced by the nearest number the machine can hold. Everything beyond the last digit is discarded, and it is gone for good. 3/80ths, rounded to 2 digits, becomes 38,000ths. The third digit decided the second and then vanished. Arithmetic on rounded numbers is not the arithmetic of the real numbers. Addition is no longer associative, and the rounded sum of two numbers need not equal the sum of their roundings. Two equations in two unknowns, with no coefficient larger than 89 and no fraction anywhere. Exact arithmetic solves it without difficulty. The variable x is 1 and the variable y is -1. Three-digit arithmetic rounds the multiplier first and then rounds every product formed from it. After one row operation, the second row holds 1/10 against 1/10. Everything larger has cancelled, and the 2/10ths are what survived the rounding. Back substitution then returns an answer that shares no digit with the exact one, and the sign of the variable y is wrong as well. This particular system is unusually sensitive, and interchanging the two rows does not rescue it. The reason lies in the system itself, rather than in the arithmetic. Every remaining example uses a system that is not sensitive at all, so that any failure can be laid at the door of the arithmetic. The first equation carries a coefficient of 1/10,000th in front of the variable x and a coefficient of 1 in front of the variable y. The second equation states that the variable x and the variable y sum to 2. The two lines meet in a single point, and the exact coordinates of that point are ratios of numbers close to 1. The crossing is a full 45 degrees wide. A crossing that open is easy to locate, so the geometry carries none of the blame for what follows. Elimination without any interchange takes the entry in the top left corner as the pivot. That pivot is 1/10,000th, and dividing by it makes the multiplier 10,000. The row operation adds 10,000 times the first row to the second row, and the entry beneath the pivot is annihilated. Adding 1 to 10,000 gives a number needing 5 digits, and only 3 are kept. The 1 is discarded entirely. Adding 2 gives exactly the same result, so the 1 and the 2 have both been erased. The second row now says nothing whatever about them. Back substitution returns 1 for the variable y and 0 for the variable x. Partial pivoting compares the magnitudes in the first column before eliminating anything and moves the larger of them into the pivotal position. 1 is larger in magnitude than 1/10,000th, so the two rows are interchanged. The multiplier is now 1/10,000th, and the row operation adds a very small multiple of the first row to the second. Rounding still discards something, but what it discards is a correction of 1/10,000th, not the numbers 1 and 2 themselves. Back substitution now returns 1 for the variable x and 1 for the variable y, which agrees with the exact solution to all 3 digits carried. Both computed answers can be placed on the picture, beside the point they were trying to find. Without pivoting, the answer sits a whole unit to the left of the crossing. It lies exactly on the first line and nowhere near the second. With pivoting, the answer sits on the crossing itself, inside the ring. The exact solution, to 4 digits, agrees with the second answer and disagrees with the first in every digit it has. The distance drawn between the two answers is 1 whole unit. The true error of the second answer is 1/10,000th, which is far too small to draw. Nothing changed but the order in which the two rows were written down. A computed answer is best judged by asking a different question. Which system does it solve exactly, and how far is that system from the given one? Without pivoting, the numbers 1 and 2 were erased, so the machine solved a system whose second equation has lost its second coefficient and its right-hand side together. With pivoting, only a correction of 1/10,000th was erased, so the machine solved a system differing from the given one in a single small entry. That comparison is called backward error analysis, and it explains the whole difference. A large multiplier destroys the small numbers around it, and partial pivoting exists to keep every multiplier small. The rule is stated for an array of any size. At each step, the pivotal position and every position below it are searched for the coefficient of largest magnitude. If that coefficient is not already in the pivotal position, a row interchange brings it there. No other operation is involved. The two multipliers formed at this step are the entry Q over the pivot P and the entry R over the pivot P, and the pivot was chosen to be the largest of the three. So no multiplier can exceed 1 in magnitude, which is exactly what stops the small numbers from being swept away. Partial pivoting alone is not enough, and one further example shows why. The first equation is multiplied through by 100,000. Multiplying an equation by a non-zero constant does not move the line it describes, so a rescaled system has exactly the lines and the crossing of the system it came from. Partial pivoting now compares 10 against 1, finds the larger entry already in place, and performs no interchange. The multiplier that results is a tenth, which is small. The computed answer is nevertheless 0 for the variable x, a whole unit from the crossing. 100,000 swamps the 1 and the 2 in the second equation. This difficulty is one of scale. The first equation carries coefficients enormously larger than those of the second, and no choice of pivot can correct that. Row scaling divides each equation by its own coefficient of largest magnitude so that the largest entry in every row becomes 1. Partial pivoting on this scaled array returns 1 for the variable x and 1 for the variable y. Scaling and pivoting together succeed where pivoting alone failed. Dividing an equation through does not change the solution. Scaling a column would, because a column belongs to one unknown, and rescaling it renames the units of that unknown. The practical strategy is therefore to choose natural units first, and then to scale by rows alone. There is a stronger version of the rule. Complete pivoting searches the pivotal position, everything below it, and everything to the right of it as well. Reaching those positions requires interchanging columns as well as rows. A column interchange renames the unknowns, so the original names have to be restored once the solving is done. Complete pivoting roughly doubles the cost of the elimination, while partial pivoting adds a negligible amount. Systems on which the extra work is repaid are rare in practice. Gaussian elimination with row scaling and partial pivoting is therefore the standard method for dense systems of moderate size. Round-off cannot be removed from a machine calculation. It can be kept from being amplified, and that is what makes Gaussian elimination work.